That's it. You know, nothing else. But y'all gonna listen to somebody. Stop reposting their stuff. Stop clicking on it and liking it when you know it don't make no sense. I'm gonna give y'all one more thing, because I usually don't post my lives. I'm gonna post this one. When you accuse somebody of something wrong, you take on that burden of that wrong. Know your book, know the Bible, know the Quran, know whatever you look.
All right, so this is one of those stories that's really going to shake things up, man. Now, with that, you already know. This your boy, Big Man. You already know what it is, man, so let's get right to it. So as y'all come in here, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Make sure y'all hit that share button, because this is a wild one. So today, man, in Los Angeles, a news story released, and the press release just came out from the DOJ we're going to get to in a little bit, about Big U and the Rolling 60 Crips. So it looks like the Rolling 60 Crips and Big U have been hit with a RICO indictment. Now, I know that the Rolling 60s are huge. They've got hundreds of members, maybe even thousands of members if you consider a lot of their subsidiaries and their associated gangs and things like that. Man, they are definitely, if not the biggest Crip gang in Los Angeles, one of the biggest Crip gangs in Los Angeles, and Big U was always at the helm. Well, Big U has found himself in the sights of the feds, and they've brought RICO charges upon him. So what we're going to do is talk about some of the rumors real quick, man. So they're saying, because of these mugshots that have been released, that also famous YouTubers Luce and Bricc Baby are involved in the case. This is crazy. Check this out.
Federal law enforcement. Let me talk a little bit about Mr. Henley and the street gang here. As I said, Mr. Henley is a widely known leader within the Rolling 60s. He rose to prominence in that gang decades ago, and he has since been a fixture on the internet, talk shows, and podcasts, all things that law enforcement have looked at closely as part of this investigation. The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar, and a cheat, and the criminals that enabled him. For example, Mr. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body in Los.
Now, every once in a while, there comes a case that shakes up hip-hop at its core, man. And this Big U Rolling 60 case might be that case this time, man. This is a wild situation, because right now you have somebody like Big U, who's an integral part in the whole makeup of what goes on in LA, as far as how the politics are respected in hip hop, how people communicate in hip hop. Somebody people reach out to and look up to, actually, as well, is being looked at or actually being indicted by the feds. Now, breaking news is the DOJ just released their press release, outlining everything they have in this RICO case against Big U, man. So basically, it's got Big U and 18 other Rolling 60 members, or alleged Rolling 60 members and associates, that are charged in this federal indictment. So this isn't any rumors. This isn't anything made up. This is the real deal. Everybody who's indicted and exactly what they're indicted for, released by the feds. So, man, I know that the Los Angeles Times interview, or the Los Angeles Times story, I should say, was good, and it gave a lot of details about the shooting and things like that. But this is officially the press release from the feds. So I want to go over this line for line and talk about exactly what they're charging Big U with, and how he got wrapped up in this RICO, and all the other players involved outside of what people speculate or thought before. So a lot of people in the streets are saying that Bricc Baby and Luce were arrested alongside Big U in Operation Drawdown. Now, that's a play on words, because everybody knows that Big U's other name is Big Draws. You know what I'm saying? It's Draws. Like, it's a well-known, famous name of him being in the streets, him doing time behind bars, him really earning his rep as the most reputable Rolling 60 member, man. One of the most statute and stood tall since the 1980s, since the prime of gangbanging till today, man. And his name carries a lot of weight. So they called the Operation Drawdown. Now, next, what I want to do is I want to go into the news release, the press release, officially from the DOJ, so we can talk about the names they do have officially in the indictment that they're releasing to the public. So let's check that out. All right, so here you have it right here. In the headline of this press release from the Department of Justice, it says this. It says the longtime Rolling 60s Crip leader and show business entrepreneur charged in federal complaint alleging racketeering crimes. So basically they're talking about Big U. They're calling him a Rolling 60 Crip leader, and they're saying that he's also a showbiz entrepreneur. Now we know that Big U has always had his hands in the music industry and show business. He's had a successful string of documentaries that were put out there by FX. He's also dabbled in the music industry, being behind key figures like Nipsey Hussle and Corrupt from the Dog Pound and others, man. Like, he's really had his foot in the music game and as well had his foot in the streets, according to these reports. Now, what's wild about this situation is the fact that Big U has kind of put himself out there as a positive and changed figure. But in this press release, it seems like the feds uncover what they believe is a cloak of lies, extortion, and all sorts of things to prove otherwise about Big U. So you see in the subheading here, it says 18 other Rolling 60 members, associates in total charged federally. So it looks like 18 people, including Big U, have been charged federally in this situation. So let's get to the good part of this. Now, it starts off by saying Los Angeles, a longtime leader of the South Los Angeles-based Rolling 60s neighborhood Crip street gang, who also is an entertainment entrepreneur and a self-proclaimed community activist, has been charged in a federal complaint alleging he ran a criminal enterprise that committed a series of racketeering crimes, including extortion, human trafficking, fraud, and a 2021 murder of an aspiring rap musician, the Justice Department announced today. Now, what's wild is that rap musician was also allegedly an ex-football player who was also a friend of his son that's currently in the NFL today, which adds a whole nother layer to this situation, man. Because you have essentially some guys in their 50s out there putting work on a guy who's in his early 20s or late teens, man. So this is a tripped out situation, to say the least. Now, Eugene Henley Jr., 58 years old, aka Big U, the guy we know as Big U on social media, of Hyde Park neighborhood of South Los Angeles, is charged in the complaint with conspiracy to violate the Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act, aka the RICO Act. So basically, they're saying that Big U is charged in a RICO Act. And I'm guessing that he's the leader in this RICO Act. He's the guy, the boss that they're going after for all the crimes that go down in the pyramid. You know what I mean? Now, two other alleged members of the criminal enterprise, Sylvester Robinson, 59 years old, aka Vay, of Northridge, and Mark Martin, 50 years old, aka Bear Claw. Now, people have talked about OG Bear Claw in the past. OG Bear Claw is one of those names that's been talked about, and kind of people try not to say anything about him. You know, there's rumors that OG Bear Claw was also one of the mentors of Nipsey Hussle coming up in the Rolling 60s. But OG Bear Claw is one of those names that's kind of almost taboo. You notice people kind of stray away from saying his name or anything about him. But he's also of Beverlywood area of Los Angeles. And he was arrested today along with Vay on the same criminal complaint in which Henley was charged. So the same criminal complaint that Big U went down for. So I'm suggesting, or I'm guessing, that they're saying that these two guys are the second in command. Like, there's a second and third in command, or they're the next on the pyramid when it comes to this whole RICO organization or RICO charge that they have put out here. Now, Robinson and Martin are expected to make their initial appearances this afternoon in United States District Court in downtown Los Angeles. Henley is considered a fugitive. So right now, as of now, Big U is still on the run, man. He's on the run. And like, being on the run today is not like being on the run back in the day, man. This ain't the 50s, 60s, 70s, or even the 80s or the 90s. Yeah, this isn't the time where you could wait until the statute of limitations are up and then come back in town like nothing happened. You know what I mean? This is a situation where as soon as you're on the run, you get on everybody's radar. They're going to find you. It's just too much technology today, man. Everything, scanners everywhere. You got different, stoplights that got different types of cameras. There's just no way to get away with being on the run. So before long, he'll probably be caught. Now, I'm not wishing that on Big U at all, so don't take that from this. I don't wish jail on nobody. So I'm hoping he he's cleared of all these charges, he's not guilty, and he doesn't get locked up. But logically, man, they gonna find him. You know what I mean? Now, in quotes, it goes on to say this: the allegations in the complaint until today reveal a criminal enterprise that engaged in murder, extortion, human trafficking, and fraud, all led by a supposed anti-gang activist and purported music entrepreneur who was nothing more than a violent street criminal, said acting United States Attorney Joseph McNally. So basically, he's saying that Big U was putting on the front like he was a community activist, and in all actuality, he was still in the streets. And so far in the streets that he was actually doing violent street crime. And he was at the top of this alleged RICO situation with the Rolling 60s. This is wild, but man, a lot of people have had those speculations on social media before. A lot of people have thought like, okay, man, with this whole community activist thing that they have going on in Los Angeles, that a lot of these guys, you know, you can't get that close to a gang and them trust you and they not have anything on you. They not be involved with you in some sort of way, man, or else they just tell you to kick rocks. So the whole community gang activist thing, you know, yeah, I think it might be watered down. You know, people might be using that for other means. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he is, but that's what they're alleging in this indictment. Also in quotes, it says, eliminating gangs and organized crime is the Department of Justice top priority. Today's charges and arrests target the leadership of this criminal outfit and will make the neighborhoods of Los Angeles safer. I'm grateful for the work of our prosecutors and law enforcement partners. Now, this makes me think that they put a task force together in order to get Big U. And there might have been traps set early on to find him. They might have thought, okay, he's dirty, or we believe he's dirty, so let's walk him into a trap and find ways to bring him out. You know what I mean? And that looks like it was successful in this situation as far as bringing the indictment. Now, that doesn't mean that he did what they said he did, but we'll see how this goes in the future, man. Now, it goes on to say, according to the affidavit filed with the criminal complaint filed Monday and unsealed today, from 2010 to present. So this affidavit goes back to 2010. That's 15 years, pretty much. Almost 15 years. Now, it says Henley's criminal group, identified in court documents as the Big U Enterprise, operated as a mafia-like organization that utilized Henley's stature and long-standing association with the Rolling 60s and other street gangs to intimidate businesses and individuals in Los Angeles. Henley is widely regarded as a leader within the Rolling 60s and rose to prominence in the street gang during the 1980s. The stories of Big U are well documented. Like his history in jail is well documented. His history in prison is well documented. I mean, he's got basically legendary stories of him catching fades, running back-to-backs, holding it down during the riots out there in the California prisons. Like Big U's legend is of legend in Southern California, or let's be real, in West Coast hip hop. He's a fixture in the gang scene or whatnot. But, you know, up until now, a lot of people believe the fact that he had turned over his life and had changed his ways. But according to the indictment, things are not that easy, or wasn't that simple. And actually, there was a cloak being pulled over everybody's eyes. Now, it goes on to say, while the Big U Enterprise at times partnered with the Rolling 60s and other criminal elements for mutual benefit, the Big U Enterprise is a distinct and independent criminal enterprise engaged in criminal activity, including murder, extortion, robbery, trafficking, exploiting sex workers, fraud, and illegal gambling. So basically, they're saying that Big U's enterprise allegedly was involved in everything in crime. Like anything that can make money, like a mafia, they were operating in that. And also when they needed help, they leaned on the Rolling 60s because of Big U's stature within the Rolling 60 gang, man. This is crazy, man. Like I said, this is one of those cases that really is going to shock hip hop. Now, it goes on to say this. It says, for example, in January 2021, Henley murdered a victim identified in the affidavit as RW, an aspiring musician signed to Unique Music, Henley and Martin's music label. Shortly before RW's murder, Henley and Unique Music paid for RW to travel to Las Vegas to record music at a Grammy Award-winning music producer's studio. Now, I'm wondering who the music producer they're talking about. So they said they flew him into Vegas to record at a studio. I'm guessing they're trying to use that as their alibi, maybe? Their kind of alibi of an alibi, like, hey, why in the world would we shoot him or kill him? Because we are the ones who flew him in. You would obviously know we had something to do with it if we did it. I mean, I get it, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a bootleg alibi, or you know what I'm saying? Try to protect yourself by being obvious. But they're alleging that that's what they were basically doing. I'm wondering whose studio they went to, but we'll get to that someday, man. Now, it also says this, but RW, the guy who lost his life, did not record at the agreed upon rate and instead recorded a defamatory song about Henley, causing Henley and Robinson to travel to Las Vegas to confront him. Henley allegedly drove RW to North Las Vegas, shot him in the head, and dragged the victim's body off Interstate 15 in the desert and left it in a ditch. Henley returned to Los Angeles with Robinson and ordered studio workers to leave while his associates removed security surveillance footage from the studio. Henley allegedly later ordered witnesses to not speak with law enforcement about RW's murder. So, man, this is some cold business, man. So they're saying they drove from LA to Las Vegas to shoot this guy. Then they went and dumped him off in a ditch in the desert. And then they returned, Big U and them returned to the studio and told the studio workers to leave the studio and told them to remove the footage of the studio of him being there and of the guy being in the studio, and allegedly try to tell witnesses not to speak about the murder ever. You know what I mean? So basically covering their tracks for the murder of this guy RW, who people have a lot of, who believe was a ex-football player as well, who ended up wanting to become a rapper. You know what I mean? They also go on to say that not only did the enterprise expand its power through violence, fear, and intimidation, but it also used social media platforms, documentaries, podcasts, interviews, and Henley's reputation as status as an OG, original gangster, to create fame for and stoke fear of the Big U enterprise, its members and associates. In furtherance of the enterprise, that's the terminology they use whenever you're talking about a RICO. In furtherance of the gang, in furtherance of the enterprise, and furtherance of the organization, right? So in furtherance of the enterprise, Henley allegedly submitted a fraudulent application for a COVID-19 pandemic relief loan in which he claimed that Unique Music was operating at a $200,000 profit in 2019, despite operating at a $5,000 loss that year, which should have disqualified it from loan eligibility. That might have been their gateway in. Him going for that loan there, that might have opened it up for the feds, because that's when the feds had an opportunity to get involved right there. You know what I mean? I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. Because that's an odd thing with all this murder and extortion and stuff to be pinpointed for them to point out. You know what I mean? So let's continue. The enterprise also enriched itself by defrauding donors to nonprofit entities under the control of the Big U enterprise, including Henley's Charities, Developing Options, a Hyde Park-based nonprofit. Henley marketed Developing Options as giving South Los Angeles youth alternative choices to gang violence, drugs, and other criminal activity. But the Big U enterprise allegedly used it as a front for fraudulent purposes and to insinuate its members from suspicion by law enforcement. Now, what's wild is Whack 100 and 600 and those guys, they've been talking about this stuff for a while. They've been talking about these exact situations for a while. And allegedly, Big U was kind of just, anytime he made a statement, and I even made a video about this, like a blog video about this 2 years back when they were getting into it. So it's like 2023 and in 2022. So with that being said, this murder was allegedly carried out in 2021. So when Big U went to social media, and I'm going to play that clip later.
Leader, I'm Mr. Dude who came from nowhere to try to hustle and get it hard. I hustle hard. That's it. Nothing else. But y'all gonna listen to somebody, stop reposting their stuff. Stop clicking on it and liking it when you know it don't make no sense. I'm gonna give y'all one more thing, because I usually don't post my lives. I'm gonna post this one. When you accuse somebody of something wrong, you take.
Or where he was talking about, oh man, nothing, oh, these guys are in the streets, that's not true, and all this stuff and all that stuff. He was out here actually hitting people, like still, pulling up and dropping people in ditches and stuff like that. No disrespect to the guy who lost his life or his family, but that's a crazy contrast to what he was saying on social media. If you look up his old responses to the whole WAC 100 and 600 and all them and all that stuff, man, it's crazy, right? Now, it also continues by saying Henley allegedly embezzled large donations that celebrities and award-winning companies made to developing options, which Henley immediately converted to his personal bank account. That wasn't smart. Like, if they made a donation to a company that's filing as a nonprofit on the books, why in the world would you automatically convert that money to your bank account without trying to wash it or do anything to conceal the fact that you're taking money from this enterprise? That's not smart. So they're saying that he was taking that money directly from Developing Options, his nonprofit, and putting that, or his, I don't know if it's a nonprofit, his charity, I should say, and then putting that money directly into his bank account. Man, talk about being able to, man, red flags would be all over the place. Like, they'd be like, well, why is this money going straight from the charity to your bank account, your personal bank account? It says personal bank. That's crazy. I can't believe he was doing that, man. That's whatever. Now, according to the complaint, Developing Options is primarily funded through the City of Los Angeles Mayor's Office through the Gang Reduction Youth Development Foundation, portions of which receive federal funding, but also receives donations from prominent sources, including NBA players. So it's somewhere for people to donate for gang interventions, but they're saying that Big U was taking that money and using it as his piggy bank, his own personal piggy bank, which is wild, man. I mean, talk about being able to draw red flags and have the feds come look at you. That's one of the dumbest things you could do, I'm thinking. And I'm not calling Big U dumb. I'm just saying, why that risk and not run the money through an expense or something, or pay yourself through the expense accounter? And I'm not trying to say this is what you should do. So nobody take this advice. It's not financial advice. It's not crime advice. But it just seems like an easy way to get caught doing that. Now, in quotes, it says, the RICO charges against Mr. Henley and his associates reflect a pattern of crimes that runs the gambit from extortion to tax evasion, all under the umbrella of a well-organized criminal organization led by Mr. Henley. So they're basically saying that Big U is the boss. Now, this was said by Special Agent in Charge Tyler Hatcher, IRS Criminal Investigation, Los Angeles Field Office. Of course, man, the IRS is how they get most RICO cases, like dead to rights. And that situation with the charity seems like it would raise flags at the IRS immediately. Like, they'd be like, whoa, what's going on here? And that could have brought on the heat as well, man. That situation right there with the IRS. Now, IRSCI is proud to partner with fellow law enforcement organizations to investigate these criminal organizations to protect our communities from further harm. So the IRS representative here, he basically is saying they're doing their part to make sure that they carry out these type of investigations to protect the community. Wild enough, look into how many mob bosses went down because of the IRS, as opposed to first getting charged criminally for anything else. It's usually something that has to do with the books, tax evasion, Al Capone, all sorts of crime bosses and people in the past. It's come down to taxes or some sort of situation with the IRS, and that was the end to all the other stuff. You know what I mean? Now, it also says in quotes, from day one, the Los Angeles Police Department has been proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with the FBI in this critical investigation, said Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonnell. The invaluable expertise provided by the Operations South Bureau FBI Task Force on the Rolling 60s criminal street gang has played a pivotal role in securing these charges. This is a major step forward in our ongoing fight against gang violence, and it brings hope and relief to a community that has endured far too much. Together, we will continue to protect and serve, working tirelessly to ensure the safety of our neighborhoods. So basically saying that it was a joint effort to make everybody safe. Now, criminal complaints and indictments contain allegations. All defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in the court of law. If convicted, Henley would face a statutory maximum sentence of life in federal prison. Dang. So they talking about giving Big U life. If convicted, Robinson and Martin would face a statutory maximum sentence of 20 years in federal prison. So OG Bearclaw and the guy Vay, they're looking at a maximum of 20 years. The FBI's Los Angeles Metropolitan Task Force on Violent Gangs, IRS Criminal Investigation, the United States Department of Justice Office of Inspector General, the Los Angeles Police Department, and the North Las Vegas Police Department are all investigating this matter. Assistant United States Attorneys Kevin J. Butler and Jenna A. McCabe of the Violent and Organized Crime Section are prosecuting this case. So as of now, that is the press release and all the major names that they have listed in this indictment of Big U and allegedly of the Rolling 60 Crips, man. Now, this is the mugshot from the Operation Drawdown poster. And on the mugshot, you can see clearly, you see Bricc Baby there, you see Luce Cannon next to him, you see Big U in the middle, and you see all the players that they're saying is involved in this investigation, man. This is a crazy one, like I said, man. So this Operation Drawdown is alleged to just be targeted at the Rolling 60 Crips and some of their members, but also what they talked about in the news release of the Big U Enterprises. So the Big U Enterprises, and I guess somehow Unique Entertainment is tied in there, which is wild because, you know, Big U has done some big things in hip hop, man. He's put out Corrupt back in the Dog Pound days, you know, helped put Nipsey's career in motion, right? Done huge stuff as far as making documentaries about the game and stuff like that. Just contributions after contributions to hip hop, where they're saying, man, it was all behind a veil of crime and that he was extorting and doing some crazy stuff out there. So, man, what do y'all tell me what y'all think, man? With everything that we've heard so far, with all these things that they've been talking about, what do y'all think about this Big U indictment, man? Is it possible that Big U makes it out of this, or is it because, you know, the feds and the rumor, when the feds come, they ain't come to play, man. They usually got their case already won. That's why they showed up. But y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. So do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.